I was scrolling through social media on a quiet Sunday morning when I saw the notification. My daughter-in-law Ashley had posted a family photo from Thanksgiving dinner last week. My face was circled in red. The caption read, "If you could erase one person from the family, who would you choose? You know my choice." Below, her entire family was commenting with laughing emojis and agreeing. My hands shook as I read comment after comment mocking me. My heart pounded as humiliation burned through my chest. I sat there in my kitchen, wearing my late husband William's cardigan like I did most mornings. The sun was streaming through the windows, and my coffee had gone cold in my cup. I stared at that photo on my phone screen, at my face circled in that awful red marker, and something inside me just cracked open. The photo showed all of us at Thanksgiving dinner just 5 days ago. There were at least 10 people in that picture, all gathered around the dining room table in the beautiful colonial house on Maple Street. The house that William and I had bought 37 years ago. The house where we raised Ryan. The house that I still owned, though Ashley clearly had no idea about that little detail. I scrolled through the comments, each one like a knife twisting deeper. Ashley's mother, Linda, had written, "Finally someone said it. She ruins every holiday." Ashley's sister, Brittany, added, "The passive-aggressive queen, LOL." There were cousins piling on, friends I had never met, all of them laughing at me. The post already had 47 likes, and it had only been up for 2 hours. I thought about how I had welcomed Ashley into our family 3 years ago. How I had bitten my tongue through countless dismissive comments, through her eye rolls when I tried to share family traditions, through the way she changed the subject every time I mentioned William. I had told myself to be patient, to give her space, to let Ryan be happy. And this was my reward. Public humiliation. My finger hovered over the comment button. I knew I should probably call Ryan first, talk this through privately. But something in me refused to stay silent anymore. I typed carefully. "Ashley, that house you're living in on Maple Street isn't your husband's. It's mine. William left it to me, and I've been letting you live there rent-free for 3 years. I just voted to erase you from my property. You have 30 days. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. For 5 long minutes, there was nothing but silence. I sat there staring at my words on the screen, my heart racing. Then my phone started exploding. Ashley called first, her voice shrill and furious. She screamed that I could not do this, that I was a bitter old woman, that I was trying to ruin her life. I tried to explain about the cruel post, about the humiliation, but she just kept screaming until I finally hung up. 20 minutes later, Ryan called. My son. My baby boy, who I had raised in that very house. "Mom, what the hell? You can't just kick out my wife on social media," I tried to explain. "Ryan, did you see what she posted? Did you read those comments? It was just a joke. You're being petty and vindictive." His words felt like a slap. He accused me of trying to control his marriage, said I had always been jealous of Ashley, said I was turning into a spiteful old woman. Then he hung up on me. Just like that. My own son. I sat there in my kitchen, shaking, wondering what I had just done. Within hours, everything got so much worse. Ashley deleted her original post, but screenshots of my comment were spreading everywhere. People were sharing it, adding their own commentary, calling me cruel and heartless. Then Ashley made a new post, and when I read it, my blood turned to ice. My mentally unstable mother-in-law is trying to make us homeless because I posted a harmless family joke. She's threatening to evict her own grandchildren. Please pray for us. Grandchildren? I stared at that word. Ashley was pregnant? The post went viral in our small community. Within an hour, my phone was flooded with messages from church members, neighbors, former colleagues from the estate sale business I ran. Everyone thought I was a monster trying to evict a pregnant woman. Someone had already created a GoFundMe page for Ashley and Ryan. Local community Facebook groups were picking up the story. And I was the villain in every single version. I had no idea Ashley was pregnant. Ryan had never told me, not a word. And now this changed everything. both legally and in how everyone would see me. A grandmother trying to evict her pregnant daughter-in-law? I looked like the worst person in the world. I called Ryan back. He would not answer. I called 5 more times. Nothing. Finally, I got in my car and drove to the house on Maple Street. My house. The house William had worked double shifts to pay off. I stood on the front porch and knocked. Through the window, I could see Ashley filming me on her phone. She posted the video within minutes. She's harassing us at our home. She would not let me in, would not talk to me. Just kept filming while I begged to speak to my son. I ended up sitting in my car outside that house, watching the lights inside, seeing shadows move past the windows. I thought about all the nights William and I had sat on that porch swing, planning our future, raising our son. And now I could not even step foot on the property without being accused of harassment. My act of standing up for myself had been twisted into something ugly. Ashley controlled the narrative now, and I was losing everything. My son would not speak to me. The whole community thought I was cruel, and I had just discovered I might have a grandchild on the way that I would never be allowed to meet. I drove home to my small apartment downtown, the one I had moved to after William died, because I could not bear to live in our big house without him. I sat alone in the dark and wondered if I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. The next morning, I met with my lawyer Harold at his office. Harold had handled William's estate 5 years ago, and I trusted him completely. I was sure the law would be on my side. I owned that house free and clear. Harold reviewed the deed carefully. Yes, my name was on the title. Yes, I owned the house outright. But then he asked the question that made my stomach drop. Is there a lease agreement? I shook my head. No, we never did paperwork. He's my son. Have they ever paid rent? No, I never asked for any. Harold leaned back in his chair and frowned. That's going to complicate things, Clara. But you still have the right to evict with proper notice. We'll start the formal proceedings. We drafted a 30-day eviction notice and had it served that afternoon. I thought that would be the end of it. I was so naive. Ashley and Ryan hired an attorney within days. Apparently, that GoFundMe had already raised over $12,000. Their lawyer filed a motion claiming something called constructive trust and adverse possession rights. They argued that Ryan believed the house was a gift for his marriage, that I had verbally promised it would be theirs forever. I never said that, not once. It was a complete lie. But Ashley's mother Linda submitted an affidavit swearing that she heard me say at the wedding, "This house will be yours forever." Ashley's sister Brittany backed up the story. They had coordinated their lies perfectly, and now it was my word against theirs. The public campaign escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. Ashley created a TikTok account dedicated to documenting her experience of being evicted while pregnant. She posted videos of herself packing boxes with tears streaming down her face. Videos of her bent over the toilet with morning sickness, while the caption read, "Being threatened with homelessness while pregnant." Ryan appeared in the videos too, looking devastated. "My mother is choosing money over her grandchild," he said to the camera. "I never thought she could be this cruel." The videos got hundreds of thousands of views. Then the local news picked up the story. The headline read, "Wealthy widow evicts pregnant daughter-in-law." They used my full name and published a photo of me from the business directory. Within hours, people were recognizing me everywhere. I went to the grocery store, and a woman I had never met followed me down the aisle, calling me a heartless monster. Someone spat at me in the parking lot. I came home to find eggs splattered across my front door. Even my church group uninvited me from Bible study. The email said they thought it would be best if I took some time away until things settled down. These were women I had known for 20 years. My best friend Diane called me that week. "Clara, maybe you should reconsider," she said gently. "Is this really worth all this pain?" Even Diane, who had been my closest friend since William died, thought I was wrong. I felt completely alone. Anonymous hate mail started arriving at my apartment. Terrible, vicious letters calling me names I would not repeat. The local newspaper ran an opinion piece about how elderly people hoarded wealth while young families struggled. They did not mention my name, but everyone knew who they were talking about. My small business, the estate sale consulting service I had built over 15 years, started losing clients. 3 people canceled contracts within a week, all of them saying they were uncomfortable working with me given the situation. My reputation was destroyed. Then came the worst part. Ashley and Ryan's lawyer got a judge to grant a temporary restraining order. I could not proceed with the eviction until a full hearing in 60 days. I was barred from contacting Ashley or coming within 500 feet of the house. My house. The judge said it was to protect the pregnant woman from harassment. Ashley and Ryan were living in my property, using my furniture, my utilities, protected by a court order, and I could do nothing but wait and watch my life fall apart. I sat alone in my apartment, night after night, reading the vicious comments people posted about me online. Strangers, who knew nothing about me or my situation, were calling for me to be investigated for elder abuse. Someone started a petition to have my business license revoked. I had lost my son, my reputation, my standing in the community, my business, all because I stood up for myself. All because I refused to be publicly humiliated in silence. And Ashley was still in complete control of everything. 3 weeks passed, like a nightmare I could not wake up from. I was isolated, depressed, barely eating. I spent my days sitting in my apartment wondering if I should just drop everything, sign the house over to them, and try to salvage what was left of my relationship with Ryan. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe I was being cruel and petty. Then my phone rang, with a number I did not recognize. "Is this Clara?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Jennifer. I was Ashley's college roommate. I saw the story online, and I felt like I had to reach out to you. You need to know what Ashley is really doing." I sat up straight, my heart starting to pound. Jennifer explained that she and Ashley had been roommates for 2 years at the state university. They had not spoken in over 3 years, but Jennifer had been following the story on social media, and her conscience would not let her stay silent. "Ashley planned this," Jennifer said. "She specifically targeted your son because she researched his family. She knew about the property, knew you were a widow with assets. She studied the situation before she ever agreed to that first date with Ryan." I felt sick to my stomach. Jennifer continued. "This isn't the first time. Ashley convinced a previous boyfriend's family to co-sign on a car loan, then kept the car when they broke up. She has a pattern. She studies people, finds their vulnerabilities, and exploits them." "Do you have any proof?" I asked, my hands shaking. "I have old text messages, where Ashley talked about securing her future with Ryan. She called him a good investment. I can send them to you." Jennifer emailed me the screenshots within minutes. I read through messages from 3.5 years ago, right around when Ashley and Ryan started dating. The messages made me feel physically ill. "Ryan seems really into me," Ashley had written to Jennifer. "Plus, his mom owns prime real estate, and he's an only child. Good long-term prospects." Another message. "His dad died and left everything to the mom. She's sitting on assets she doesn't even use. That's practically criminal, lol." And another. "If I play this right, I could have that house in a few years. Old ladies love me." I sat there staring at my computer screen, feeling like the world had tilted on its axis. My son had not fallen in love naturally. He had been hunted. I started digging deeper with Jennifer's guidance. I found Ashley's old social media accounts from before she met Ryan, posts about manifesting wealth and strategic relationships. I found a blog she had written under a different name, posts about the importance of marrying up and how to make yourself indispensable to a family with money. But the worst discovery came when I hired a private investigator named Thomas. I had to use most of my remaining savings to afford him, but I was desperate. I needed real evidence. Thomas followed Ashley for 5 days. She had been posting constant updates about her difficult pregnancy, her doctor appointments, her morning sickness. But Thomas discovered she was not going to any doctors. The days she claimed to have appointments, she went to a spa. One day, she went shopping. Another day, she met friends for lunch and posted a photo of her fake baby bump with the caption, "Baby wants sushi today." Thomas got photographic evidence. Ashley buying a fake pregnancy test at a novelty store. Ashley wearing loose clothing with what looked like padding underneath. Ashley adjusting a prosthetic belly in her car before walking into a restaurant. The entire pregnancy was a lie. She had fabricated everything to gain sympathy and legal protection, and it had worked perfectly. The judge had granted the restraining order specifically to protect a pregnant woman. The community had turned against me because I was supposedly threatening an expectant mother. The GoFundMe had raised money because people wanted to help a young couple expecting a baby. All of it was based on a lie. I sat with Thomas in his office, looking at the photos, feeling a mixture of vindication and absolute fury. I finally had evidence that could destroy Ashley's entire narrative. But how could I use it? Harold warned me that even with this proof, I had to be strategic. If I just blasted the fake pregnancy revelation on social media, people would accuse me of violating medical privacy. They would say I was making desperate accusations. I needed more. I needed to prove the fraud completely. Prove that Ashley had planned to steal the house from the very beginning. I tried to reach Ryan with the information. I sent him an email with the subject line, "Please, just read this." He never responded. I sent a text message. "Ryan, I have proof Ashley has been lying to you. Call me." The message showed as delivered, but never read. I realized with a sinking heart that either he was completely under Ashley's control, or worse, maybe he knew about some of it and did not care. Harold looked at the evidence and said we could present it at the court hearing, which was now just 5 weeks away. But we needed a comprehensive strategy. We had to trap Ashley into committing to her lies publicly before we exposed her. While I was trying to figure out my next move, someone vandalized my apartment door. I came home from the grocery store to find the words "Greedy Witch" painted in red across the white wood. My landlord was sympathetic, but said I was becoming a liability. Other tenants were complaining. I might need to find a new place to live. I was running out of money for legal fees. My business had lost 6 clients total now. I was living on my fixed income and rapidly depleting the savings William had left me. The private investigator had cost $3,000. The attorney fees were mounting. And now, I might have to move. Ashley posted another update with her fake belly prominently displayed. The caption read, "Despite everything, we're staying positive. Baby girl coming in 4 months." The post got thousands of supportive comments. I sat alone in my defaced apartment, looking at William's photo on my mantel. "I'm trying, honey," I whispered to him. "I'm trying to protect what we built, but I'm losing everything." The court hearing was in 5 weeks. That was my one chance to expose the truth. But every day that passed, I lost more and more. And I was starting to wonder if I had the strength to keep fighting. The certified mail arrived on a Tuesday morning. I saw Ryan's attorney's name on the return address, and my stomach dropped before I even opened it. They were suing me. My own son was filing a civil lawsuit against me for elder abuse, mental cruelty, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. They were seeking $50,000 in damages. I read through the legal documents with shaking hands. They claimed my harassment had caused Ashley severe anxiety that was threatening the pregnancy. They included screenshots of my social media comment, photos of me sitting outside the house, copies of the eviction notice. Everything framed to make me look like a vindictive old woman terrorizing a helpless young couple. The lawsuit was filed publicly. The media coverage started within hours. Elderly woman, accused of abusing pregnant daughter-in-law. The story was everywhere again, adding another layer to my supposed villainy. Harold reviewed the lawsuit in his office, while I sat across from him, trying not to cry. "Most of this is baseless," he said, "but it will be expensive to defend. And combined with the eviction hearing, your legal costs are going to be substantial." How much? He hesitated. Between both cases, you're looking at another $15,000 to $20,000 at least. I did not have $15,000 to $20,000. I would have to sell my apartment, the small place I had called home for the past 5 years. The place where I still felt close to William, where all my memories of our life together lived in the photos on the walls and the furniture we had picked out together. Everything was slipping away. That night, I wrote Ryan a letter by hand, pouring out my heart onto the pages. I wrote about his father, about how proud William would have been of the man Ryan became. I explained that I never wanted to hurt anyone. I just wanted respect. I told him I knew about the fake pregnancy, but I begged him to come talk to me before it was too late. I told him I loved him more than my own life. I mailed it with a prayer that somehow it would reach past whatever wall Ashley had built around him. 3 days later, the envelope came back to me. Returned to sender. Refused. Written in handwriting that I recognized as Ryan's. My son would not even read my words. I broke down completely, sobbing alone on my couch, clutching William's cardigan around my shoulders. Then Ashley made her next move, and I realized the situation was even worse than I thought. She announced on social media that she was filing for adverse possession of the house. She posted a long explanation about how under state law, if you live somewhere openly and continuously for a certain period, you can actually claim legal ownership. Her lawyer was arguing that they had lived in the house for 3 years, maintained it, paid the utilities, made improvements. Since I had never charged rent or created a formal rental agreement, they were claiming I had abandoned my ownership rights. The post was written in a tone of righteous indignation. We put our love and labor into this house for 3 years while she did nothing. We deserve to own what we've built. Harold called me immediately after he saw the filing. Clara, this is more serious than I thought. In this state, adverse possession claims can succeed if certain conditions are met. The fact that there was no lease and no rent gives them an argument. Can they really take the house? It's possible. The judge will have to weigh multiple factors, but it's in play now. I felt like I was drowning. Not only were they trying to stay in my house, they were trying to claim they owned it. William's house. The house he worked 43-hour weeks to buy, that he maintained with his own hands, that represented every sacrifice he made for our family. The stress became physical. I woke up one night unable to breathe, my heart racing so fast I thought I was dying. My neighbor found me collapsed in the hallway and called an ambulance. In the emergency room, they told me I had experienced a severe panic attack. My blood pressure was dangerously high. The doctor warned me that continued stress at my age could lead to a heart attack or stroke. They wanted to keep me overnight for observation. Diane finally came to visit me in the hospital. She sat beside my bed and held my hand, and for the first time in weeks, I broke down completely in front of another person. I think I should just give up, I sobbed. I'm losing everything anyway. At least if I walk away now, maybe Ryan will talk to me again someday. Diane squeezed my hand. What would William tell you to do? I thought about my husband, about his integrity and his strength. He would tell me to fight, I whispered. But I don't know if I have any fight left. The hospital bill was going to be another $4,000. My savings were almost gone. My health was failing. And in 3 weeks, I had to stand in front of a judge and defend myself against people who had become experts at lying. Then, just when I thought things could not possibly get worse, Jennifer called again. Clara, I found something. Something big. I sat up in the hospital bed, ignoring the IV tugging at my arm. What is it? Ashley is already married. She married someone else 4 years ago in Nevada. I found the marriage certificate. She never got divorced. Her marriage to Ryan is completely invalid. It's bigamy. I stopped breathing for a moment. Are you sure? I'm looking at the certificate right now. Ashley married a man named Travis in Las Vegas 4 years ago. I did some digging and found him on social media. He filed a police report against her 2 years ago for fraud. She cleaned out his bank accounts and disappeared. This changed everything. If Ashley was not legally married to Ryan, She had absolutely no claim to any marital property, no spousal rights, no claim based on being family. The entire foundation of her case collapsed. But I have to be strategic, I realized. I cannot just throw this out there. I need to let Ashley commit fully to her fraud first, then expose everything at once. Send me everything you have, I told Jennifer, and do not tell anyone else about this yet. I checked myself out of the hospital the next morning against the doctor's advice. Harold was cautious when I showed him the Nevada marriage certificate that Jennifer had emailed. We need to verify this through official channels, he said. But if it's legitimate, this is the key to everything. Get it verified, I told him. But do not file anything yet. I want to wait until the hearing. The hearing was now just 3 weeks away. Ashley thought she was winning. She had no idea what was coming. For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I could still fight my way out of this. Then my phone rang. It was Ryan's attorney, with news that made my blood run cold. They were filing an emergency motion to force an immediate sale of the house. I had 72 hours to respond. Out of the frying pan, straight into the fire. Harold and I worked around the clock to verify the Nevada marriage certificate. His investigator confirmed it was real. Ashley had married a man named Travis in Las Vegas 4 years ago. The marriage was never legally dissolved. Her marriage to Ryan was void, which meant Ashley had no spousal rights whatsoever to claim. This was the evidence I needed. The proof that would expose Ashley as a complete fraud. Harold wanted to bring it to the court immediately, file an emergency motion of our own, but I stopped him. Something in me, maybe some instinct from years of dealing with difficult people in my estate sale business, told me to wait. Let her keep going, I said. Let her think she's winning. I want her to commit to all her lies publicly, in court. Then we expose everything at once. Harold looked skeptical. That's risky, Clara. What if the judge rules against us before we can present this evidence? Then I'll appeal. But I want Ashley to hang herself completely first. So I did something that went against every instinct. I posted on social media for the first time since my initial comment that started everything. I wrote, "I've decided to drop all legal action. Family is more important than property. Ashley and Ryan, the house is yours. I'm sorry for everything." The post exploded. People praised me for finally doing the right thing. Local news outlets ran stories about my change of heart. Ashley celebrated online with a photo of herself holding the house keys. The caption read, "Justice prevails. Sometimes love wins." Ryan did not respond publicly, but I saw that he liked Ashley's post. Within 3 days, Ashley put the house on the market. My house. The beautiful colonial on Maple Street, where William and I built our life. She listed it for $575,000. She told the real estate agent that she was the owner. She created fake documentation showing the property had been transferred to her. Harold documented everything. We now had evidence of attempted real estate fraud on top of everything else. Ashley was so confident, so certain she had won, that she got sloppy. And we captured all of it. The court hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. I was ready. We had the Nevada marriage certificate verified by official channels. We had evidence of the fake pregnancy. We had proof of the planned theft going back years. Ashley had no idea what was about to hit her. Then, on Thursday, everything fell apart. Jennifer called me, and I could hear the tears in her voice before she even spoke. "Clara, I'm so sorry. I was in a car accident. Oh my God. Are you okay?" "I'm in the hospital. But that's not the worst part. While I was unconscious, someone broke into my apartment. The marriage certificate, all the printed evidence I had, it's gone. Everything is gone." My heart stopped. What? Someone knew I had that information. The timing is too convenient. I think Ashley found out somehow. Harold tried to reassure me. "We have digital copies," he said. "We have the verification from Nevada. We're still okay." But Ashley's lawyer argued in an emergency pre-hearing motion that our digital records were questionable, possibly manipulated. Without the original documentation that Jennifer had, we were on shakier ground. And the Nevada County Clerk's office was severely understaffed due to budget cuts. Getting newly certified copies would take 2 to 3 weeks minimum. The hearing was in 4 days. Harold looked at me across his desk. "We need to ask for a continuance. We're not ready to present this evidence properly." We filed the motion. The judge denied it. The hearing would proceed as scheduled. I visited Jennifer in the hospital. She was unconscious, hooked up to machines, her head bandaged. The doctors said she might not wake up for days or weeks. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand, feeling crushing guilt. She had gotten hurt because she tried to help me, because I dragged her into this nightmare. My own health was deteriorating rapidly. My blood pressure was so high, my doctor threatened to hospitalize me again. I was not sleeping, barely eating. At 68 years old, the stress was literally killing me. Diane came to my apartment late one night. "Clara, please, drop this. It's not worth your life." "I can't," I whispered. "If I give up now, Ashley wins completely. She gets away with everything. And Ryan will never know the truth about who he married. Is it worth dying for?" I didn't have an answer. The night before the hearing, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Ryan standing there. My heart leapt. This was the first time I had seen him in over 2 months, the first time he had come to me. I opened the door, hope flooding through me. Maybe he had come to reconcile. Maybe he had finally seen through Ashley's lies. He handed me an envelope. "I've been instructed to serve you with an expansion of the restraining order," he said flatly. His voice was cold, emotionless. "Ryan, please, can we just talk? After tomorrow, you'll have nothing," he said. "No house, no son, no grandson. You brought this on yourself." "There is no grandson," I said, my voice breaking. "Ashley isn't pregnant, Ryan. She's been lying to you." He actually laughed. "You're so desperate you're making up lies now. We've seen the ultrasounds, Mom. We've been to doctor appointments. Those are fake. All of it is fake. Please, just listen to me. I'm done listening to you." He turned and walked away. I stood in my doorway watching my son leave, wondering if I would ever see him again. The next morning, I sat in the courtroom with Harold beside me. Across the aisle, Ashley and Ryan looked confident, well-rested. Ashley was wearing an obvious pregnancy prosthetic under a flowing dress. Her hand kept drifting to her fake belly, in a protective gesture that made me feel sick. The judge entered. Everyone rose. This was it. My one chance to expose the truth, and I was going into battle without my most powerful weapon. Harold leaned over and whispered, "We have one shot. The cross-examination. If I can get her to commit to the lies under oath, her credibility will be destroyed even without the Nevada certificate." Ashley was called to the stand. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Then she sat down, arranged her dress to show her fake belly, and smiled at the judge. She was about to lie under oath, and I had to watch it happen. The judge asked her to state her case. Ashley's performance began. Ashley spoke in a soft, trembling voice that I barely recognized. She described months of harassment from me, claiming I had been stalking her, calling her at all hours, making threats. None of it was true, but she delivered each lie with tears in her eyes. She showed the judge photos on her phone. There I was, sitting in my car outside the Maple Street house. That was the day I tried to talk to Ryan, but in her framing, I looked like a dangerous stalker. She had more photos of me at the grocery store, at the bank, carefully cropped to make it seem like I was following her everywhere. "My mother-in-law has made the last 3 months a living nightmare," Ashley said, her hand on her belly. "The stress has been terrible for the baby. I've had complications because of her harassment." The judge looked sympathetic. He asked about her pregnancy, and Ashley gave detailed answers about her due date, her doctor, even the baby's gender. "A girl," she said with a sad smile. We're naming her after Ryan's grandmother. That was William's mother's name. Emma. The fact that Ashley would use that name as part of her lies made me physically ill. Her lawyer presented medical records. They looked official, complete with letterhead from a local obstetrics practice. I realized Ashley must have paid someone to create fake documents, or possibly even stolen real documents and altered them. The level of her fraud was staggering. Then Harold stood up for cross-examination. I watched him approach the witness stand, praying he could break through her lies. He started gently, asking about timelines. When did you marry Ryan? 3 years ago this past June. Where were you married? City Hall downtown, small ceremony. Then Harold's tone sharpened slightly. Have you ever been married before? Ashley did not hesitate. No, never. This is my first marriage. Are you absolutely certain about that? Of course I'm certain, Ashley said, looking offended. Why would I lie about something like that? She had just committed perjury, but we could not prove it without the Nevada marriage certificate. Harold tried another angle, asking about her intentions when she moved into the house, whether she knew Clara owned it, whether rent was ever discussed. Ashley gave smooth, practiced answers to everything. She claimed she thought the house was a wedding gift, that Clara had said at the wedding that it would be theirs forever. Ashley's lawyer objected repeatedly, claiming Harold was badgering the witness. The judge sustained most of the objections. We were losing ground. After a brief recess, Harold made the risky decision to put me on the stand. Clara, we need the judge to see you're credible, he whispered. Tell your truth. I took the stand with my hands shaking. I placed my hand on the same Bible Ashley had touched and swore to tell the truth. Unlike her, I meant it. I explained the history of the house, how William and I bought it 37 years ago, with money we saved for 8 years. How we raised Ryan there. How William died 5 years ago, and I could not bear to keep living in all those memories. I offered it to Ryan and Ashley as a place to start their family, but I never intended to give it away permanently. Why didn't you formalize a rental agreement? The judge asked. Because he's my son, I said, my voice breaking. I trusted him. I thought family meant something. I looked directly at Ryan in the gallery. I talked about teaching him to ride a bike in that driveway when he was 6 years old. About William building the treehouse in the backyard with Ryan's help. About Christmas mornings in that living room, birthday parties in that kitchen, 37 years of love soaked into every wall. Ryan, your father worked double shifts for 20 years to pay off that house, I said. He wanted it to be your inheritance when I'm gone, not taken from me while I'm still alive. For the first time in months, I saw Ryan's expression crack. Something like doubt flickered across his face. Ashley noticed immediately and grabbed his hand, squeezing tight. Then Ashley's lawyer stood up for cross-examination, and he went for the throat. Isn't it true you posted a vindictive comment on social media threatening your daughter-in-law? I responded to public humiliation, I said. You threatened to make your pregnant daughter-in-law homeless, didn't you? I stood up for myself after being mocked and degraded, I said, my voice getting stronger. You want to evict a pregnant woman out of spite, correct? Something in me snapped. She's not pregnant. The courtroom went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Excuse me? The lawyer said. She's not pregnant. She's wearing a fake pregnancy belly. I can prove it. Ashley's lawyer turned red. That is a disgusting accusation. Your Honor, this is exactly the kind of harassment my client has been enduring. I looked directly at the judge. Then let her submit to a court-ordered pregnancy verification. Right now. Today. Ashley went pale. Her lawyer started objecting frantically. This is outrageous. Medical privacy. You can't force someone to undergo a medical exam. But I had called the bluff publicly, in front of the judge, and I could see him considering it. The judge held up his hand for silence. Given the serious nature of this allegation, and the fact that the supposed pregnancy has been central to these proceedings, I'm ordering an immediate medical examination by a court-appointed physician. Your Honor, you can't, Ashley's lawyer protested. I can. If there's credible suspicion of fraud being perpetrated before this court. Ashley stood up suddenly, her face white as paper. I need to use the restroom, she said, her voice shaking. You can wait until after we resolve this issue, the judge said. No, I really can't. I'm pregnant. I have bladder issues. Ashley was already moving toward the courtroom door, her hand on her belly, walking fast. Miss Ashley, sit down, the judge ordered. But Ashley was not sitting down. She practically ran from the courtroom. Her lawyer looked confused, calling after her. We all waited. 5 minutes passed. 10. 15. The bailiff went to check the lady's room. He came back shaking his head. She's not there, Your Honor. Ashley had fled the courthouse. The judge called a recess. Everyone filed into the hallway. Ryan stood there looking completely lost, his face drained of color. People were whispering. Phones were out. This was going to be all over social media within minutes. Ryan? I said, approaching him carefully. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time in months. Where's Ashley? He asked. I don't know. But Ryan, there's more you need to know. The investigator Harold had hired was there, and he had his phone out. He showed Ryan the photos. Ashley adjusting a pregnancy prosthetic in her car. Ashley at the spa, on days she claimed to have doctor appointments. Ashley buying fake pregnancy tests. That's not possible, Ryan whispered. I've seen the ultrasounds. I've been to appointments. Have you? I asked gently. Or did she show you pictures and tell you about appointments? His face crumbled as he realized the truth. He had never actually been to a doctor with her. She had shown him ultrasound images she printed from the internet. She had kept him away from every appointment with excuses about wanting to do it alone. Then Harold showed Ryan the document on his phone. The Nevada marriage certificate. Ashley married to Travis, dated 4 years ago, 1 year before she even met Ryan. Ryan stared at the screen. His hands were shaking. This can't be real, he said, but his voice had no conviction. His phone rang. Ashley, he answered on speaker. Baby, I'm sorry. I panicked, Ashley said. Her voice was different now, not the sweet tone she usually used. It was harder, more calculating. Meet me at the house. Were you ever pregnant? Ryan asked, his voice hollow. There was a long pause. Ryan, I can explain. Were you ever pregnant? He repeated. Ashley hung up. Ryan looked at me, and I saw my son again for the first time in 3 months. All the anger and coldness were gone, replaced by devastation and shame. Mom, he whispered. Oh God, Mom, what have I done? We need to get to that house, I said. Right now. The judge reconvened the hearing. Ashley was not present. Her attorney had nothing to say. The judge issued a bench warrant for Ashley's arrest for contempt of court. He ruled immediately in my favor. The house was mine. The eviction could proceed. All claims by Ryan and Ashley were dismissed. But Ashley still had keys to my house, and she had fled there. Ryan, Harold, and I rushed to our cars. We called the police to meet us at the Maple Street address. As we drove, Ryan kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I believed her. I chose her over you. I was so stupid. She was very good at what she does, I said. She fooled all of us at first. But I was your son. I should have trusted you. We pulled up to the house to find a moving truck in the driveway. Ashley was loading items into it. My antiques, Ryan's electronics, family heirlooms, everything valuable she could carry. She saw us and froze. Ryan got out of the car. It's over, Ashley, he said. She dropped the box she was holding. For a moment, she looked like she might run again. Then her expression changed, and I saw the real Ashley for the first time. The mask was completely gone. Ryan, baby, I did this for us, she tried. You're married to someone else, Ryan said. That doesn't matter. We can fix that. You were never pregnant. Ashley's face hardened. Fine. You want the truth? That house was supposed to be ours. Your mother is a bitter old woman sitting on property she doesn't even use. She doesn't deserve it. My husband worked his entire life for that property, I said, stepping forward. Well, now you get to keep it and die alone in it, Ashley spat. The police arrived then. They had the bench warrant and new information. Ashley was wanted in 2 other states for fraud schemes. The Nevada husband, Travis, had filed charges 2 years ago. She had drained his bank accounts and disappeared. There were at least 3 other victims across different states. Ashley was a professional con artist, and we were just her latest marks. They arrested her right there in the driveway. She tried to play victim one more time, crying and begging, but the officers were not buying it. They put her in handcuffs and led her to their car. As they drove away, Ryan collapsed on the front steps of the house, his head in his hands. I sat down beside him, and for the first time in 3 months, I put my arm around my son. He leaned into me and cried like he had not cried since he was a child. "I'm so sorry, Mom," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry." "I know," I whispered. "I know you are." We sat there together on the steps of the house William built, and slowly, painfully, we began to find our way back to each other. The weeks after Ashley's arrest were strange and difficult. The local news covered the story extensively, though this time the narrative was very different. People who had condemned me were suddenly apologetic. Some sent flowers or cards. Others just avoided eye contact when they saw me, embarrassed by how quickly they had judged. I learned to recognize the difference between genuine apologies and guilty consciences. Some people were truly sorry. Others just did not want to be seen as having been on the wrong side. The full scope of Ashley's crimes became clear as police investigated. The GoFundMe money, over $14,000, had been spent on designer clothes and a secret apartment she kept across town. She had been planning to sell the house and disappear with the money, leaving Ryan behind. Travis, the Nevada husband, reached out to Ryan. He told a story eerily similar to ours. Ashley had targeted him, love-bombed him, married him quickly, then systematically isolated him from his family while trying to get access to his inheritance. When he figured out what she was doing, she emptied their joint bank account and vanished. There were 3 other victims in different states, all with similar stories. Ashley was a professional con artist, and she was very, very good at it. Ryan moved out of the Maple Street house and into a small apartment downtown. He offered to pay me back rent for the 3 years he lived there, but I refused. "You're my son," I said, "but we're going to have boundaries now, real boundaries, and honest communication." He started going to therapy to understand how he had been manipulated. I learned that Ashley had used classic abuse tactics: isolation, gaslighting, making him doubt his own perceptions. She had slowly cut him off from me, from his friends, from anyone who might question her. By the time I posted that comment, Ryan was so deep in her web that he could not see clearly anymore. Learning that helped me forgive him, though the hurt of those months would take a long time to fully heal. I decided to sell the Maple Street house. There were too many bad memories now, and I did not need the property anymore. It sold for $585,000. I put half the money into a trust for Ryan's actual future, one he could not access until he completed therapy and demonstrated real personal growth. The other half I split between my savings and a donation to a nonprofit organization that helps fraud victims recover and rebuild their lives. The community that had turned on me so quickly was slower to acknowledge their mistakes. Some people apologized sincerely. My friend Diane never wavered, and our friendship became even stronger. But some of the church ladies who had uninvited me from Bible study never said a word. I learned who my real friends were, and surprisingly, that list was shorter than I expected, but more meaningful. My small business slowly recovered. Some clients came back, apologetic. Others did not. But I found I did not need everyone's approval anymore. I was 68 years old, and I had finally learned that my peace was more valuable than popularity. Jennifer recovered from her injuries, though it took weeks of hospitalization. I visited her regularly, and we became close friends. She told me that standing up to Ashley, even though it cost her so much, was the right thing to do. "You can't let people like her just keep destroying lives," she said. "Someone has to be willing to fight back." I agreed, though I wished the fight had not cost us both so much. Ryan and I rebuilt our relationship slowly, carefully. We had dinner together once a week at a neutral location, usually a quiet restaurant where we could talk. In therapy, he was learning about the patterns he had fallen into, the warning signs he had missed. He told me that Ashley had seemed perfect at first, almost too perfect. She agreed with everything he said, loved everything he loved, seemed to have no needs or opinions of her own. He thought he had found his soulmate. He did not realize he was watching a performance. "It'll be a long time before I trust anyone again," he admitted to me one evening over dinner. "That's understandable," I said. "But don't let her steal your ability to love. Just be wiser about who you give your heart to." "I took you for granted my whole life," he said. "I never appreciated what you and Dad sacrificed for me. I'm so sorry, Mom." "You're young," I told him. "You'll love again, but you'll be smarter next time." "I think I need to learn to love myself first," he said. I squeezed his hand. "That's very wise." Ashley went to trial 6 months later. She was convicted on multiple counts of fraud, perjury, and theft across 3 states. She received a sentence of 8 years in prison. At the sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and listened to the judge describe her crimes. He called her a predator who systematically destroyed families for personal gain. I felt vindicated, but also sad. Sad for Ryan, sad for Travis and the other victims, sad for the waste of it all. Ashley never apologized or showed remorse. Even at sentencing, she blamed everyone else. She claimed she was the real victim, that society had failed her, that she had no choice but to do what she did. The judge was not moved. As they led her away in handcuffs, she looked at me one last time. Her eyes were empty of emotion. I realized I had never really known who she was at all. The woman Ryan fell in love with never existed. It was always just a mask. That Thanksgiving, almost exactly 1 year after the Facebook post that started everything, I hosted dinner in my new home. It was smaller than the apartment I had been forced to leave, but it was mine, and it felt peaceful. I invited Ryan, Diane, Jennifer, and Harold the lawyer, who had become a friend through all of this. We sat around my table, and I said grace. I mentioned William, thanking him for the strength he had given me through his example. I thanked everyone there for standing by me when it would have been easier to walk away. Ryan raised his glass. "To Mom," he said, "for teaching me what real strength looks like, for not giving up, even when everyone told you to, for protecting what Dad built, and for protecting yourself, too." We toasted, and I felt tears in my eyes. Not sad tears this time, grateful tears. As we ate, I thought about everything I had learned. I learned that standing up for yourself, even when it costs you everything temporarily, is necessary. That respect has to be mutual, even in families. Especially in families. I learned that silence in the face of cruelty is not peace, it is surrender. I learned that defending your boundaries does not make you cruel. It makes you strong. I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what really matters. I lost the house where I raised my son, but I gained my self-respect back. I lost my son temporarily, but I earned real, honest relationship with him. I lost my community's approval, but I found genuine friends who stood by me when it was hard. I looked around my table at these people who fought beside me, and I realized this was family, real family, built on honesty and respect, not just obligation. After dinner, as everyone was having coffee, Ryan came and sat beside me on the couch. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. "It's Dad's birthday next week," he said. "I thought we could visit his grave together. Plant some flowers." "I'd like that," I whispered. "And Mom," he said, "I know I can't undo the last year. I can't take back choosing her over you, believing her lies, hurting you the way I did. But I want you to know, I'm never making that mistake again. You're my family. You're my priority." I hugged him tight. "We're going to be okay," I said. "It'll take time, but we're going to be okay." As the evening wound down and my guests prepared to leave, I stood at the door saying goodbye to each of them. Diane hugged me and whispered, "I'm proud of you." Jennifer squeezed my hand and said, Thank you for being brave enough to fight. Harold shook my head and said, You're one tough lady, Clara. After everyone left, I sat alone in my living room, looking at William's photo on the mantel. I whispered to him, just like I used to. I protected what you built, honey, and I protected myself too. I thought about the woman I had been a year ago, sitting in her kitchen reading that cruel Facebook post. She had felt small and powerless and humiliated. The woman I was now had been tested by fire and came out stronger. I was 68 years old, and I had finally learned that being kind does not mean being a doormat, that family loyalty cannot be one-sided, that your voice matters, even when the whole world tells you to be quiet. Sometimes the people who test you the most teach you the most valuable lessons. Ashley tested me in every possible way, and through that test, I found strength I did not know I had. I have everything I need now. Not the big house or the community's approval or even my old life back. But I have my self-respect. I have my son back, truly back, in an honest relationship. I have real friends who stood by me. I have peace. And I have the knowledge that when I was pushed to my absolute limit, when everyone told me to give up and be quiet and accept mistreatment, I found my voice and I fought back. That is worth more than any house could ever be. So let me ask you something, because I think this matters. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself when everyone told you that you were wrong? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your dignity? What did you choose? And what did it cost you? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story touched you or made you think about the boundaries in your own life, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in difficult situations. And share this with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to stand up for yourself, even when it is hard. Especially when it is hard. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here with me through every painful moment and every small victory. I hope my experience helps someone out there find their own strength. May you always have the courage to protect what matters, the wisdom to know the difference between kindness and weakness, and the strength to stand up for yourself when it counts. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you deserve respect, always.